You've probably seen this and wondered, why does the new Bugatti V16 engine sound like a 4-cylinder bike? Well, that's because it is the world's first genuine V16. But is it too perfect? To understand the issue with the Bugatti sound, you first have to understand this. There are only 2 types of V16 engines. Configuration 1, the double straight 8, and configuration 2, the double V8. V16 engine 1, the double straight 8, is the original V16 engine. It's comprised of 2 straight 8 engines joined to the center, and they created it for being able to fit 2 engines into a racing car. Now, when a straight 8 revs, it follows a certain pattern. Now, there are many versions to this, but the easiest one to understand, the most basic configuration, is 4 up and 4 down. That's the piston. It's 4 up, 4 down. Looks like that, and then it goes like that, and then like that, like that. That's a straight 8 configuration. So what happens is when it revs, if one's up and the next one's down, on the next rotation, this one's up and this one goes down, and the next rotation, this one's up and this one goes down, and it follows through in a pattern. When you have a second engine next to it, it covers any gap between that pattern. So you get 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, the cylinders going in order, all the way down the engine. So it ends up being a sound of essentially steps, revving through steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all the way through. So you just hear, but it sounds like it's going through steps. So just listen for that sound. There's no sort of odd pattern to it or anything. It's just a continuous sound all the way through, which of course makes for a good racing engine. That is the sound of the inline straight 8s joined together to create a V16. Now, the Bugatti actually sounds similar to this configuration, but we'll get back to that later. Next, you need to understand the sound of this engine, the twin V8. Now, the twin V8, which is obviously 2 V8s joined together, are usually high displacement V16 engines, which you find in things like old trucks, the Devil 16 if it actually had this engine in the car, or of course, one of my favorite cars of all time, the Cadillac 16. Now, the sound of this engine sounds like 2 V8s harmonizing together, because that's exactly what it is. So a regular V8 has not necessarily an odd firing pattern, but a bit of an odd pattern. So that's the normal sort of V8 sound. What happens between the gaps of sound? D, space, D, again. What happens is if you get a second V8 next to it and make it rev in between those 2 sounds, then you get a harmonized sound across. So if that sounds familiar, it's also because that particular sound harmonization is what you get with Bugatti's W16 engine. Even though that's actually not 2 V8,